Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. So great to have you all here. So excited to have the community growing as we're all doing this together. So, again, always grateful for all of you out there. Today, I wanted to share with you guys that I have been receiving a lot of information, a lot of comments from clients and people that are listening to the channel. And I've had some really great questions presented. So I wanted to take the opportunity today to answer some of those. And we're going to be addressing the whole aspect of pivoting. And the questions that I have been receiving is more about how I did it or when I knew that it was time to pivot. And so when you learn a little bit more about my history and my story and your and so I started in banking right back in the day when I was much younger, 17 till about 25 or so. I was in banking, and from banking I understood the power of money, the power of finances, the power of having a certain balance in the bank account, and how those clients were treated differently than those who had more modest bank accounts, right? And so understanding that there's some significance as to how people would see you because of the kind of bank account that you had in the bank. And so this brought me to understanding that finance in the world of business, in the world of money, was always going to be important for me, right? Because I wanted this to be something that I could share with my own kids and my family. And so from banking, I decided, I had two kids already by then. I had two little boys. And so I had decided that I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom, but I did want to have the opportunity to build a business. And it only made sense to go into the pool business with my father. And that's what we did. We grew the pool business that he had established on his own, and I became his partner. And we exponentially grew the business from him building out 12 pools a year to us building out 20 pools plus a month, right? And so really leveraging the business and understanding that the platform of how we could access more clients was through going through the pre-construction homes. And so I went directly to the builders and had the opportunity to sit down and have conversations with their executives and sold them on the projects. And so it was always about me understanding my intentions and my focus, right? And this is what I'm sharing with all of you today, is not losing myself necessarily on the volume and the money. And yes, that was all great. But what was really important was to understand how I was connecting to these opportunities, right? So in banking, I got to learn a lot about not only the different banking instruments that they had in that particular bank, but also understanding how this was helping families to be able to expand their wealth and to continue to build out their legacy. So legacy has always been something very important for me, right? So again, I'm going back to share that I was being very strategic, whether conscious or unconscious, right? But knowing that building something for myself and for my family was always going to be a priority. And then doing that in the swimming pool business and understanding that it wasn't about just doing the residential projects, but also doing it exponentially in the pre-construction building and development of homes that had not been built yet. And how could we get a swimming pool or a water feature into all of these different homes and all of these different projects? And so it was, again, once more, how do I continue to expand myself to build out this business that is going to outlive me, hopefully one day, right? And that was the intention, that was the idea. This was the family business. And so anyway, plans changed, and it was important for me to continue on my trajectory and my dad nearing his retirement, it was a good idea for us to just sell, and that's what we did. And it wasn't his dream or his idea necessarily to build this out for the family lineage or to build out a family legacy. And so I kind of had to step back and just know, okay, he's limited, but I'm not, right? And so that was my pivot then. It was like, okay, Dad, this is great. And listen, I love my father and we have a beautiful relationship, and he's 90 years old today. So like, not today, but he's 90 years old. And so again, learned a lot from him, learned how to be an entrepreneur, not to limit myself and my salary. And so that was always the back of my mind, that anything that I built out after the pool business had to be structured as a business. And so fast forward, I did I wanted to go back to school because I knew that I was living out his dreams. His dreams was he was a great builder, and he had this great mind and was great with math and very much an engineer kind of mind and thought process. And that was his dream, was to be an entrepreneur and to have this pool business, this construction business that thrived and did so well. And for me, it was, but I'm not feeling like this is it. I feel like there's more for me to do. And then at that point, I decided it was important for me to step into what I love, which was to be a psychologist, a lawyer, a mediator, right? So all of these things I was able to combine and kind of bundle into my next career. So I went back to school, got my master's degree in marriage and family, and decided that I was going to build this career out. However, I was not coming in from a therapist mindset. I was coming in from a business mindset, and that was a game changer. And still today, I receive so many compliments, not only people that were peers of mine in the industry, in the psychology world, but also people who worked with me. Like, again, they didn't know how to explain how successful I was, and didn't understand how I had such a thriving private practice. And my answer was always because I ran it like a business. I didn't run it as a clinic or as a center, although I had a wellness center, but it wasn't solely for therapy clients. It was also for mediation clients. And so I continued to expand, and of course, because I pursued my dreams, my heart, it wasn't just about being the therapist or being in the world of psychology, but I had to incorporate the legal world, right? So I didn't become a lawyer, but I became a mediator. And so again, every time there's been a pivot in my life, it has been my heart's calling. And it starts with a thought, well, okay, maybe I can expand and do more of this. But then there's this nudge that is constant in my heart and reminding me that there's more, right? And so as a therapist, I realized that I was seeing 50 to 55 clients a week. I couldn't see anymore. It just wasn't sustainable. I had a family and running this business and very successful, but I was working a lot, and I did that for close to 20 years. So the next step, right, the next pivot happens when I realized, how about I start giving all of this advice and start doing more coaching and being more exclusive and working with executives and doing more of the high performance work, which I really thrived and loved, and helping executives grow themselves, right? And continue to grow not only in their businesses, if they owned a business, but in their firms or in the employer that they were serving. And so seeing it from there, that was another trajectory that I was very impacted and influenced by through myself to continue to pursue. And so I did. And then the next pivot happened when I decided I didn't want to live in Miami anymore, and that West Palm and Palm Beach were more my vibration and more where I felt elevated and more of the environment that I wanted to be surrounded by. So I took the leap of faith and moved myself to Palm Beach, and that's where I reside today. And the pivot that happened after that was conversations with my daughter back in 2021 after the whole COVID fiasco and everything that was going on with that. And I'm so happy that Florida was one of those states that really didn't lock people down, because I was definitely not going to be locked down. That was not going to happen in my reality. And it was more about deciding, what can we do? Let's start putting together our family office and building this out. And she comes from Wall Street and she comes from that finance background. And it only made sense that me having all of these connections through relationships that I built throughout the years, and her having this background in finance and how to grow money and compound wealth and creating this beautiful legacy for our families, that this was the new way, that this was the way to go. And so again, with so much enthusiasm, going back to my heart, right? This is heartfelt, this is heart-centered, this is not, oh, this makes sense, and let's just try this. And yes, we did. We tried many different modalities for our business, and we saw what was working and what wasn't working. And what is so wonderful when you get to have this this flexibility of pivoting, and that you're okay with pivoting, is that if one thing isn't working, you move on to the next thing. You move on to the next project, the next opportunity. And you just continue to expand and grow, because you're not setting any limits on yourself. You're not saying, oh no, this is the only way that we can invest, or this is the only way that we can be a family office, or we have to only invest in real estate because that's what other family offices do. And really being open to all of the different opportunities got us to land exactly where we're at today and how we do business. And really keeping it nice and lean has been very important for us, right? Because for both of us, our freedom to travel and to live a life of very little limitations has been very important. But going back to what this pivot attitude and this pivoting has created for myself is that the skies are the limits, right? There are no limits, right? Everything is open to opportunity. And recently I went ahead and thought it was a great idea and consulted Katrina, my business partner and daughter, to start the YouTube channel. And we've done that. And so I could have this platform now to not only share advice and counsel, and definitely this is not therapy, and that's not what I'm doing here, or more than anything is teaching, advising, and perhaps coaching all of you to continue on your trajectory and continue to open your heart and receive that inner nudge, and not from a place of fear. I'm not saying that pivoting doesn't come with a little bit of perhaps unsettling thoughts, or perhaps a little bit of antsy and, is this the right thing, or is this, but you won't know until you go through. And so that's really the opportunity for yourself to continue to expand yourself, is that you could just go through and see what happens. And what's the worst that can happen is that you went through, right? You went through and you accomplished something or you didn't, and that's fine. But you grew and you expanded and you learned. And that is what makes pivoting so exciting and so powerful, is that when we're doing it from a place of, it's like a take it or leave it energy, right? If it works, that's great. If it doesn't work, that's fine. I could take it or leave it. I'm good, right? And not attaching all of these expectations, or not attaching all of these emotions, or all of these different opinions that are coming from outside of you. That's not what you are. That's never going to feel good, right? Because now you have all sorts of commitments to kind of report to all these people around you that have all these expectations, or that you've shared everything with. And I'm always gonna tell you not to share your wins, or not to tell people what you're up to until you've actually accomplished something, or you've accomplished it for yourself. Because things get diluted when you have so many opinions, and everybody, no, don't do that. Oh, I tried that once and it didn't work for me. And then all of a sudden, all of those thoughts start to interfere with how you want to continue to grow and pivot yourselves. So really keeping it to yourself at the beginning until you've actually accomplished what you wanted is probably the best advice I can give you. And so stepping into this YouTube channel and growing the platform and sharing all of this information is what I'm up to now. And of course the family office is definitely, it's the machine, it's what functions on the background. That's all the passive income and how we continue to grow our wealth. But we're doing something I'm doing something that lights me up, that I love, which is to share with all of you whatever advice, whatever coaching, whatever way I can teach and continue to share with you the wisdom that I've gained throughout 30 years of my career with all of you from here on out. So anyway, I think that kind of explains where and how pivoting happens. And it's that inner nudge. It's that knowing that this is not it, right? This is great, right? And we're always going to be grateful, right? You still have to be in love with what you're experiencing now. And then from that love and expansion, you're going to continue to look out for, okay, what's next? And when you have that inner nudge, and when you have that thought that comes in asking you what's next, don't shut it down. Open yourself up to, okay, what are the possibilities? What else can I do? What other purpose can I have in this life? And I know that we all talk about, one of our purposes perhaps is being a mom or a dad and having children. Another purpose is that career that you went to college for. Another purpose can be giving back and how you can use your funds to impact and help others. But there's always a different purpose, right? Our purposes are endless and limitless. So don't think that just because you know your purpose or you have a purpose that's the only purpose. And I get that question asked a lot. So I'm glad, I was able to remember to clarify that for all of you today as well. So anyway, with that, I will be leaving you today. I hope this has been helpful, and please continue to ask questions and send in your comments. I love to, listen, we're here, we're building this together. So whatever questions, whatever doubts you have, go ahead and share, and I will make sure that I address them on the next episodes coming up. Thanks again for all of you, and have yourselves a magnificent day. Much love.